This is the Retirement Key Podcast with Abe Abish, founder of Abish Financial Services.
A lot of firms out there say they will do tax planning, say they will do Social Security planning and RMD planning, and typically they just do investment management. They want your money.
You've worked hard your whole life to earn and save. Now you need a plan to make that money work hard for you.
Where do you stand today with your retirement accounts, with your insurance, with Social Security, RMDs, taxes, all of it? This is how we need to think. We need to think outside of the box on these matters.
Abe is here to help you unlock the keys to your retirement.
Abe, normally I'd be asking you, have you been out enjoying the spring weather? But it seems like there is no rest for the weary. You and your entire office have just been going nonstop these past few weeks, it seems.
We've been very busy, but glad the spring is here, and the weather's been crazy up here. I mean, we just had, it's gotten up into the 70s and 80s now, and then, this past weekend over Easter, it was pretty chilly, and I was talking to a client of ours out in the Front Royal area, and they just got 1.5 inches of snow. So here in
April in Virginia, y'all.
I know. The weather's been crazy, but no complaints here. We're really busy, and, just an exciting time.
Yeah. Well, speaking of spring, you might be doing some spring cleaning around the house, and we need to ask you about your linen washing patterns. Thinking about the last time you washed not just your sheets, but your actual pillows. We will tell you why your 401k might need the same kind of treatment. But first, continue on the subject that just won't seem to go away. Thinking about the inflation rates, Abe. Now at an 8.5% year-over-year rate. That's almost a 41-year high. A new survey by CNBC and Acorns finds almost half of Americans are thinking about rising prices all the time. And who can blame us? Every time you turn around, you're trying to buy a cup of coffee, and you can't believe the sticker shock. 3 in 4 are rethinking their spending choices as well.
No, we don't go out as much. We try to conserve as much as we can.
Eating out less, not driving that much.
I don't travel quite as much except to work.
I'm just trying to make more money to just compensate for the prices.
Aren't we all, though, Abe? But thinking about the folks that are dealing with their retirement years, there's obviously a lot more to consider. More than 80% in the poll are expecting a recession this year. The advice some experts are giving us is to focus on what you can control, which is sometimes easier said than done. That's where we have to ask you this question in the case of retirement planning. What can you control?
Yeah, great question, Heather. There is a lot we can control. Now, a lot that we can't, but a lot that we can. And so that is what we want to focus on. And just a couple examples of inflation. I had a client that I was speaking to the other day, and he and his wife love to travel, and they're like, we're just putting travel on hold, Abe, because the cost of vacations now is so high.
Yeah.
Well, I had just booked an Uber trip to the airport because I was just recently down in Nashville for an investment conference. The price of the Uber fare from my house to Dulles Airport, which is about 20 minutes, has doubled.
Yep.
Doubled. I'm like, is this right?
Yep.
Is this right? For a 20-minute drive, it was a high price. I was like, man, this is obviously because of the cost of gas and
that
just
was just
inflation
the
in
price,
general.
right? That didn't include the tip or anything for the driver.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So it is real, and hopefully it's not here to stay long, but you're right. Inflation has just hit a 8.5% year-over-year increase, a 41-year high dating back to 1981. And Heather, there's a price to pay when interest rates are lowered to zero, when the Federal Reserve just intervenes and just pumps trillions and trillions of dollars into the system, and dollars are just printed more. And trillions of dollars into the system. Hey, that was great for the markets. The markets loved it. They rode that cash injection wave for a couple years, and the markets have done phenomenal the past few years until they don't anymore, right? And late last year, the Federal Reserve started hinting at doing the opposite, raising rates and tapering, pulling cash back out of the system, and the markets did not like that and started off 2022 down even before Ukraine and Russia surfaced. So it's really important that if we have dead money sitting around in our portfolios, just not keeping up with inflation, that's G Fund, F Fund, and TSP, cash, checking, savings, money market, CDs, treasuries, savings bonds, you name it, anything earning for the most part 0 to 2%. We've got to look for ways to get that dead money off the sidelines, working as hard as possible for us while keeping it safe if that's your goal and objective. So we just had some clients call into the show and then come into the office. They live in Herndon, Virginia, just about 15, 20 minutes away from us. They are 60 and 63, retiring late 2023. $4 million saved. So fantastic job.
Nice.
Of accumulating $4 million just little by little every single year, right? How they're maxing out their accounts, maxing out their IRAs, and then they wake up and they've got $4 million saved. Now, not everyone does, but that's a great amount of money saved. They're a 6 on our risk scale, so just slightly north of a middle of the road investor, maybe some moderate risk, right? But when we met with them and gave them the analysis on their whole plan, we found out that they were taking too much risk. And one of the reasons why they wanted to meet with us is because they knew that they needed to decrease risk somewhat after experiencing incredible growth in their portfolios the last 36 months. We also found out that they had hundreds of thousands of dollars of extra cash in the bank above and beyond emergency funds. So when you talk about what you can control versus what you can't, Heather, you can't control who's going to be the president next, what's going to happen with the markets, what's going to happen with the war over in Europe, what's going to happen with tax rates and brackets. But you can control your risk. You can control how much risk you're taking. You can control how much you're paying in fees. You can control how much dead money you have on the sidelines and a lot more. And so these are the things we want to focus and really plan around and try to control as much as we can. So the solutions for them were simple. Plan for their extra bank cash, getting some of that dead money off the sidelines above and beyond emergency funds, and also a plan for reducing risk and then creating an income plan. So, sometimes we get asked, hey, Abe, what's an income plan? We have income coming in. What's an income plan? Mm-hmm. Well, an income plan is simply a roadmap. And for the first time in most people's lives, Heather, they can see all of their income across a spreadsheet, right, that they can track and that we can track with them 4 times a year as we meet with our clients quarterly. That income plan is going to have their Social Security figures in there, their pensions, if any, rental income, if any. Maybe they have some annuity income, stock income, you name it. It's all going to be in that income plan. And then in our comprehensive retirement plan, the income plan is one of 6 to 7 pieces. You have a tax plan as well, an investment plan, a plan for their insurances, maybe a healthcare plan, a legacy plan, an estate plan. All of these should be included in a comprehensive, holistic retirement plan. If you're listening to this right now and if you sound a little bit like this couple, perhaps retiring soon, maybe you've done a fantastic job of saving, but you realize you don't have a plan other than your investments. Perhaps you have 401ks and IRAs. You know what you're going to get for Social Security, but other than that, you don't have a plan. Then go to retirementkeyradio.com. Click on the Contact Us tab at the top of the page. Our team will be in touch with you, and we'll start the process with you of setting up your own Where Do I Stand plan as well.
All right, I don't want to put anybody on the spot here or ask you about your general cleanliness, Abe, but as I was pointing out earlier, it is spring cleaning time, so you might want to start thinking beyond the sheets. Most of us wash our bed linens about once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, but how often do you wash the actual pillow? Do you want to divulge, Abe, or shall we keep going with the question?
Shelly and I were just talking about this the other day, and she's like, when is the last time you've washed your actual pillows?
Yeah.
And I'll just have to be honest, they're probably not washed as often as they should be. And I think that's probably the case for most people.
Right.
However, now is the time, right, with all the pollen and all of the allergies going around to wash them more regularly. And I know we'll try to take, showers or something if we've been out all day to take a shower before you go to bed, because otherwise that stuff is all in your bed.
That's right.
Your sheets and comforter and pillows, and it's just kind of nasty.
Well, exactly what a British study found, that our pillows are pretty gross. They are an ideal breeding ground for everything from dust mites to the flu, all hiding right there from clear view. And I'm going to spare you the really gross details because it does get pretty nasty. However, it relays over into the world of work that you do, Abe, thinking about our retirement savings, how a 401k can kind of be like a pillowcase for nasty fees that eat up our savings, can't they?
Absolutely, they can, Heather. And this is one thing that if you're not paying attention to, you need to start paying attention to. Let me give you a good example.
Okay.
We just had a couple call in and then come into the office. They live out in Winchester and they have about $2.6 million saved, and they're in their 60s, retiring soon. Great job of saving, have managed it all on their own. They're a 7 on our risk scale. They're just about ready to pull the trigger and retire and transition from their working career into retirement. So their problem was they had accounts everywhere. And when you have accounts everywhere, it's harder to track, right?
Yeah.
It's harder to see if you have any stock overlap. Like, for example, in our portfolios, we may own Amazon, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Tesla, all these companies that most people are aware of, but we'll try to own them once.
Right.
Not 5 times. And if you have IRAs and 401ks all over the place, and you have a Vanguard fund and a Fidelity fund and a T. Rowe Price fund and you name it, and they're all across the board, well, you may have overlap, which is inefficient. That's one example. Another example of inefficiency is high fees and high expenses in the funds that you own themselves. So when we did an analysis for this couple with $2.6 million, which is a good chunk of change saved, their fees in their funds alone, not the advisor fee because they're not working with an advisor, ranged from 0.6 to 1%. That's the fund expenses per year. Now, in $2.6 million, you can do the math. 1% of $2.6 million is $26,000 a year. Now, they weren't paying a full 1% on all $2.6 million. So let's just say they were paying about $15,000 to $16,000 a year in fund expenses without advice. We show them how they can get those expenses from 0.6 to 1% down to around 0.1. That means in real numbers, a lowering of expenses in their portfolio of almost $14,000 per year. Well, they're in their early 60s.
Yeah.
If they live another 20 years, Heather, which they should, that's $300,000 in recouped fund expenses and fees. These things are like termites. Just like all the nasty stuff in your bedding, if you're not washing your sheets as often as you should be, these fees can eat into your portfolios and retirement plans and eat into your overall returns. And man, if we can save someone any money, let alone hundreds of thousands of potential savings, we want to look for ways that we can do that. So for anyone listening right now, if you're a little bit like this couple who has known they've done a good job of saving but just needed a plan, wanted a second opinion. It was a portfolio x-ray that we provided for them, Heather, a portfolio x-ray analysis. That analysis is detailed. It shows them potential returns if they stay on the track that they are, the risk that they're taking, any dividends, fees and expenses, standard deviation, all of it. So if you're listening right now and you sound anything like this couple, you would like a second opinion, a complimentary comparison, a portfolio x-ray of all of your investments, 401ks, TSPs, IRAs, you name it. Just go to retirementkeyradio.com, click on the Contact Us tab at the top of the page, and we'll start the same discussion and conversation with you.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Key Podcast with Abe Abish. To learn more about Abish Financial Services, visit retirementkeyradio.com. And join Abe for his radio show, The Retirement Key, Saturdays at 2 p.m. on WMAL.
Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Abraham Abish is licensed in your state, please call 571-577-9968. Abish Financial Services is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Abraham Abish, NPM number 770-3575.